Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
How's everybody doing? We're doing good.
Good, yeah. How are
Yeah.
you?
Good. Just got back. It's humid over here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's hot and very humid. How about over there?
Well, we're
well,
in Wisconsin right now, so
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's
yeah,
like the
so
same.
just like yeah, basically the same.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going back to California on Friday or Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you spoke with Maddie about like selecting a puppy and stuff.
Yeah. And
Good.
now we have selected one. Hosta went there to visit them. I was here in Wisconsin, so yeah, we used her advice, which was helpful for
Good.
sure.
And you're getting it's a golden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would you end up going with male or female?
Male.
Male.
Okay. Um.
Um. Yeah, we looked at both, but just personality wise. We were just a little bit worried about the same personality as Kavu, which is like the shy, fearful, which turns to reactivity. And I don't think any of the puppies really showed. They were all like had a very good startle response, recovery, and like they were all. It's like they're Goldens. They were pretty golden,
Yeah.
like. Um, but it just felt like the best of the best one for sure was just happened to be a male. So we didn't really feel like Kavu has a preference about gender either.
Yeah.
It's more
No.
personality for him. So
Um. You'll hear conflicting stuff like all over the place. Like a
yeah,
lot of
Yeah.
people say like avoid avoid puppies from the same litter because you'll get
yeah,
litter mate syndrome or something.
Yeah.
Then like if you got a male, get a female. If you get a female, get a male type stuff.
yeah,
And it doesn't matter like as long as there's structure within the home and
yeah,
Yeah.
you're raising the puppy correctly. Like it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
right,
I've had other clients have had dogs from the same litter. They're perfectly fine. So,
yeah. Okay, cool.
any questions for me before we get started? Because I think your main concern now is just like integrating Kabu with the puppy and like how to do that correctly.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I would like to do that correctly just, for the puppy's own sanity and ours. But I don't foresee that it is a long-term problem. I really do think Kavu's pretty able to get over his, once he meets someone or another dog, he really has never had a certain dog that he just won't refuses to integrate with. So I think it'll be fine, but I'd just like it to be easy. And then other questions are kind of more around like how should we approach socializing this puppy knowing that we have another reactive dog in the home. Like I know the basics of socializing and I feel like we know more now too that it's our second dog. So I feel like I know how much work we want to put into that, but also just how do you do that when one dog's reactive? Should you keep them separate, or how do you not let that reactivity bleed over? So yeah, integrating and like socializing.
Okay, so one thing I'm going to let
Yeah,
you know, and this isn't, you have a golden, so chances are things are going to be slim in terms of behavioral issues.
yeah,
Um, is you could do everything by the book and still end up with the screwy dog. Okay,
right, right, right.
so don't ever feel like don't get so anxious or nervous or just worried about like
Yeah,
are we going to do this perfect. You can let that go.
I
Uh,
know.
everybody does it. You know,
Yeah.
and
Oh, I do it.
I've had clients do it by the book, and it just happens. Where I have clients, dogs are perfectly sociable, and then like at 9 months they're attacked by an off leash dog, and then the next day
Yeah.
it's a 180, right?
Right. Right.
Mhm.
So something life could throw you something and it just screw your whole you know
Plan. Yeah.
plan up exactly. So I always stress just adapting. This
Yeah.
is what we have and how do we handle it? Okay.
Yeah.
So with integrating Kabu with, do we have a name for the puppy yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
So let's say Kabu and the pup, right? The puppy. Um, it's best to introduce on neutral ground.
Okay.
In my opinion, typically what I do is, we'd have Kavu out. You guys you have the puppy, have Kavu start walking, and then whoever has the puppy sneaks up behind, and then you end up
Okay.
being side by side.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like ideally it'd be Kavu, person, person, puppy. Okay, and I have a video. I've done like 3 or 4 videos now of this specific exercise if you want to get a visual of it.
Okay.
So you guys, somebody's already walking with Kavu, and then you just come from behind and you kind of just sneak up, right?
Yeah.
If Kavu like turns and goes, "What's this?" and becomes reactive, you would just remote, correct, and you just keep walking. You don't stop. Okay.
Okay.
Because he's either going to stop and be reactive or he's going to be walking. He can't do both.
Right.
So then I use that to my advantage. I remote him as we're walking. Eventually he settles, and you might see his hackles are up in the beginning. As you keep walking, maybe 15 minutes later, he's like, all right, well, I guess this puppy's not going anywhere. The hackles go down.
Sure.
Okay? So now he's relaxed a bit more. Then the next step is I try to ease the puppy over, depending on how easy the puppy is to handle, because you're not going to have an obedient puppy walking nightly, but you want to like manage him to some degree so he's not a lunatic.
Right.
And it would be, dog, person, dog, person. Okay, so first they're on each end, and then we put it in the middle. Okay. And then you might see maybe Kavu looks and is like, what's going on, and keeps looking, but doesn't become reactive. He just looks, right?
Sure.
Keep walking. Eventually he settles down and goes, all right, well, I guess the puppy's not going anywhere. Then I go, then we close the gap more, and then it's person, dog, dog, person.
Okay, yeah.
Now, since now they're going to be side by side, to make it easier, you could put more gap between the dogs.
Sure.
And then as you're walking, you just start to ease in closer until now you're walking side by side.
Okay.
If we do want,
I can't imagine this with a puppy. So back it up really quick. Like, would you advise doing this the day we bring the puppy home, or do you also advise we bring the puppy home for a few days and then introduce them?
No, I would do it on day one.
Right away. Okay, so like, yeah, I guess.
You're not going to have a perfect walking puppy.
No, obviously not, but just try and kind of keep moving in the general direction.
Yeah. Just, pick a direction, keep it and you're just limiting the puppy's movements.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're going to get puppy behavior. It's going to be bouncing around and stuff, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That's the purpose of the walk one is to get Kavu acclimated to the puppy without feeling he needs to immediately socialize with the puppy.
Yeah, he can just be in existence with it without really interacting.
Correct. So like at my facility, we ease dogs into it by first day one, there's no interaction. They're just in the facility coexisting with other dogs.
Yeah.
And then day two, we start to move dogs around them and them around dogs. And then day three, now we're going to integrate you with one dog, now another dog, now two dogs.
Yeah, that sounds like what our dog walker did. So now Kavu has his pack he runs with, and there's like 8 dogs, and he's totally been cool with them. But yeah, they kind of did the same walking together thing.
Yeah, so that actually helps out tremendously. And plus, with his pack stuff here, because he's done it before.
Right.
So there's a foundation, and then when you start to integrate, it's kind of like, oh, this is what I do with my pack with the walker.
Yeah, true. You're right.
Puppy energy. It's going to be the difference.
Right. Okay.
So don't be dissuaded if Kavu does become reactive as you close that gap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's why you.
And we should tap Kavu. It's not going to make him think like that I get tapped when this puppy's around, therefore it's like negative. I mean, ideally you want like it to be a positive experience, but you might have to tap him.
Correct. So you can't let him go unaddressed.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Okay. So what happens? That tap is a split second, right?
Yeah.
That tap is 1 second. So like, let's say you walked Kavu for a total of 10 minutes with that puppy and you tapped him once. That was 1 second out of a total of 600 seconds.
Yeah, true. You're right. Yeah.
So it's more positive overriding that 1 second.
Okay, yeah.
So ideally, and I know we have a puppy, so you'll have to adjust it. But like I just came from doing that exact exercise with 2 aggressive dogs, and we did just fine. Yeah. But we took our time. So we, to give you an example, we did about, let's say, 2 blocks in one direction. We turned and then we closed the gap, another 2 blocks. Then we closed the gap, another 2 blocks. And then we started to close them in together for another 2 blocks. And then finally, after about 30 minutes or so, we stepped in the shade to rest, neutral territory. and they just sat down next to each other and lay down.
Okay.
So they
Yeah.
went to a resting state.
Okay.
So for the puppy, it may help Kavu because if the puppy's tired from the walk, he's not going to be, when you
He'll
stop, ideally
chill.
jumping all over Kavu.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to talk about puppy and corrections and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're trying to make it, when we talk about positive, for me, positive is just coexistence.
Yeah. Okay.
Just they don't need to smell each other. It's going to happen, but I don't press that right away.
Right. Right.
People try to press end result immediately
Yeah.
and work to end result.
Right.
Even with puppies. So I actually have another client, exact same thing. We trained their reactive dog, and then fast forward 6 months, they just got like an Aussie poo puppy.
Okay.
Right? And I told them the exact same exercise, and now they play and all that stuff together, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So for Kavu, it helps him because he goes, okay, there's this new energy here. He's gonna know it's a puppy. Like he's gonna recognize that energy, but he's not gonna feel so like I don't want to say intimidated, but just so much like it's like
Sure.
my aunt had like 7 kids, and they were all roughly around the same age of like 8 to 14. So when you would go over to her house, it was very loud.
Yeah.
I could only be there for a little bit. So
Right.
I'm not used to having kids, I'm used to living by myself and stuff.
Yeah.
With Kavu, it's now like, it's going to be similar. It's like, oh, now we got this energy.
Yeah.
And it's acclimating him to like becoming comfortable with that energy and coexisting with it.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, that makes sense.
And when it comes to coming into the home, so like let's say you do all this, you stop, you rest in shade, they're just hanging out, chilling, and then maybe you see Kavu get up and he sniffs at the puppy. Then you want to watch the puppy. Maybe the puppy jumps up like, hey, dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
See how Kavu perceives it. If you have to correct them, we correct them. Give some space, let them decompress. Yeah. Then we walk back home. I recommend doing the visiting dog or the new dog, in this case the puppy, first, and then Kavu would come in second.
Okay.
Okay, for entering the home.
Okay.
Because what can happen is you come in with Kavu first, and then you try to come in with the puppy, and he whips around to be territorial.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So you avoid that context.
Okay.
And then you could, like, if you have a kennel set up for the puppy, you can put the puppy in the kennel and then have Kavu be loose, and he's kind of just walking around, sniffing the puppy, kind of just getting used to it, right? Yeah. If you get any growling, like that's just him going, I disagree with there being a puppy in this home.
Yeah.
It can go either way. You can either, one, ignore it and just see if it resolves itself as it gets used to the puppy's presence. Yeah. Or two, you can be proactive and remote it. There's no real right or wrong. I just go by how the owner feels about it.
Sure.
And like, for instance, when I get families that they bring home a baby and the dog starts growling at the baby, they panic. Yeah. Well, the dog doesn't know what the baby is. Right. So it's just saying, I'm unsure what is this? I don't know what this is. Sure. And then I tell them, don't worry about socialization. Just let them coexist and grow up together. Don't baby touching the dog. And then a year or 2 years later, they're best friends. Right. Right. Because the dog grew up. Not the dog. The dog watched the baby go, like, it's not leaving, and they grew up, and there was rules and just that coexistence. Sure. It'll happen. In the case with the puppy, it's more than likely going to happen faster. Right. Because the puppy's going to be loose at some point. Right.
We will probably use a puppy playpen just to start off. We did that with Kavu and felt it worked well. So like during the day when we're, if we're working now, we're all at home all the time. So that kind of helps. But, so he'll be kind of behind that barrier, I think. Is that like, that's kind of the same as Kavu would perceive that almost the same as him being in a kennel though, and Kavu's loose. So is that, like, that shouldn't really be a problem? Or it would be the same thing if he came up to the playpen and growled, we could tap it or we could just ignore it. Same approach pretty much.
So what I would watch is, yes, you are correct, but the pen is essentially the same thing because it's just the puppy enclosed with the barrier.
In space, yeah.
Is when we're watching for the growling and when Kavu's doing it, you're watching for it. Is it becoming less and less?
Right.
Okay, so the first day I'd expect it to be a lot.
Okay.
And then the day the puppy's still there.
Yeah.
Right. So there's more disagreement, and then the next day it's less, and then less.
Yeah.
Then that's him going, all right, well, I'm getting used to this energy being around in the home, you know.
Right. Yeah. He met two hostess family has two puppies that are now 4 months old. No, 5 months old, but we've been here over a month now too in Wisconsin. So he met them when they were about 4 months, and he did really well. And we really didn't do anything too special either,
Sure.
and it just went well. So definitely, like, he, I think, was like, yeah, this is a puppy. It's kind of annoying. At times he would sort of correct.
He definitely growled and was like very sensitive to certain things that like the puppy energy.
But not right upon meeting.
No. But like
all.
when like puppies
Just
are like
playing.
you know kind of like all over him and stuff like that, and he was not liking it. But after you know doing it over and over, he's been much better about not having to do that and just kind of like accepting that the puppy's there or like the other dogs.
Yeah, and it really was never. He never got like.
It was never reactivity. It was more of a correction all the time, right?
Right.
Yeah, which
like
was
what you want with a puppy,
promising,
anyways.
yeah.
So I think it was really good that way.
That's
like
good. That's there's some familiarity there.
Yeah.
Right. So you actually have a little bit of a foundation, so that's good.
Yeah.
So the difference here is that was temporary.
Yep.
Well, yeah, and it's also not on his territory either.
So that's where things start to change.
Right.
But it does provide some foundation where he's like, I've been around this energy before. You know, I didn't like it at first, but okay, I get it, right?
Sure.
So yeah, just keep it. If there is growling, we keep an eye on it. As long as you feel like it's getting less and less, then that's him starting to accept and get comfortable.
Yeah, okay. And then I remember you mentioning at one point sometimes like dogs can get reactive if they are behind a barrier.
Yes.
So I feel like my idea, we don't really need to kennel Kavu ever personally. He is crate trained, but we don't use it often these days. So I feel like we wouldn't really want to like kennel Kavu and have the puppy out. I don't feel like that would, I mean, I don't know, at least, or you wouldn't want the puppy to be coming up to Kavu's kennel if he was in a kennel. Like that could be kind of threatening to him, right? Or no?
Yeah, well, if he's in his kennel, like he may have discomfort there because again, he's going to be territorial.
He's confined. Or if we had a gate up separating them by a barrier, that's almost where it's probably better to just have the puppy confined and Kavu not feel confined.
Right. Well, because Kavu is the senior.
Right.
So he's the one that gets more privileges.
Yeah.
The puppy's gonna, in my book, earn these privileges.
Right. Well, and we need to keep him a little more confined anyways.
Right. For potty training and all that other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then if it's like, hey, I want to give the puppy needs to have time to stretch its legs and stuff and be out of the pen. You could do a number of things. One, you take Kavu, maybe put him under command, like place or down at your feet or something.
Yeah.
But the other person is in control of the puppy.
Right.
Okay. So let's say the puppy starts jumping all over Kavu. A lot of people go with the let dogs correct dogs, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with it. Like with my guys, I don't have a problem with it because I know they will correct correctly.
Yeah.
But it's when I don't know the dog, so Kavu. So if you feel like you've seen Kavu correct puppies and he's actually good and he's balanced about it, then you could let that ride out, okay? Mm-hmm. But I'm always ready just in case because he could overcompensate one day, right?
Right.
And if Kavu ministers a correction to the puppy and the puppy corrects it, and then now we've got that harmony, then there's really no tension anymore. Now the puppy knows its place, okay?
Right.
The only issues that I have with correcting dogs within the household is I wouldn't, because you're getting a golden, I wouldn't perceive that this would or expect this to happen. But sometimes as the puppy matures and that personality changes, then you might start getting tension because now the puppy might start to challenge.
Sure.
Okay. So in my book, if I see, like, for instance, that dog earlier I mentioned that was reactive, but then they got like an Aussie poo, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I told them, because their dog would growl and start to bare teeth. And I said, that's your cue to step in and correct your puppy. So then your dog thinks, I don't even need to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I give this cue and you'll do the physicality.
Yeah, right,
You
right.
know? So like growing up, if my brothers like went in my room and grabbed one of my toys or something, I didn't spank them. I was like, Mom, Josh went and grabbed my toy without permission. And she was the one that did the correct thing.
Right.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So you want to respect Kavu's growls for what they are and help him kind of get out of, like, that means he's uncomfortable and we should respect that kind of. Is that, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
it's a balance. So
yeah.
there's certain things where I go, like for instance, with reactivity, walking down the street, Kavu should not be reactive because it's just not acceptable.
Right, right.
Yeah. But if someone just came up to you and was like, "Oh my God, look at your cute Dalmatian," right? And he
Yeah.
started growling, I'd be like, "Yo,"
Right,
because that would be understandable.
right, right, right.
So right now, he's, we'll say he's a teenager. Now you're bringing home an infant, or actually you're bringing home like a toddler. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
there's gonna be that like, Mom, like,
right.
So when Kavu goes, "Oh, I growl and you'll address the puppy for me," it helps him relax more. He doesn't have to be so on edge,
Yep,
thinking like I'm gonna have to deal with this puppy now,
right.
that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a balance, and I tell people, personal opinion. If you're gonna let your dog correct, I get it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm always watching because dogs will sometimes overcompensate. They think
Right.
differently than we do.
Yeah. Um, so for Kavu too, I feel like he's gotten better also because I think he's more adequately exercised now because we are having him go with a dog walker, and the style they do it in San Francisco is it's more like they go to a park and run off leash, so it's not really walking, it's they're with their pack and they run and play. So he always comes back more tired and just I feel like in a better mood, I guess, I think, when he's exercised. So um, I feel like we'll continue to do that probably like daily when he has, especially when they're getting to know each other. I think he's kind of just better when he's had his time to run around first and then he can come and interact more. I don't know. I mean, but I also, is that going to be too much stress? Like, I think
Stress how, like from like all that
on
physical
him,
and then like meeting the puppy.
yeah, like, is it, I don't know, is it, I would think when he meets the puppy, the ideal scenario would be that he's also, like you said, when the puppy walks and then eventually after the walk, the puppy will be tired and pretty chill. We kind of would like, it helps to have Kavu sort of in that
Mindset. Yeah.
mindset too, right? Maybe not even the first day they meet, but also just like the first while they're together was my
Yeah, yeah,
plan
yeah.
was to have him go more often and run.
So when it comes to exercise and dog behavior,
Yeah.
I don't look at the exercise as a means of curing the behavior, right?
Yeah.
So if a dog is reactive, it's just you don't be reactive consequence, right?
Right. Yes, but I feel like it primes him to be in a different like to have a little bit of a different first response, but is that just me like anthropom whatever like assigning that to him, or
No,
is that really true? That's my question.
the way I would look at it is, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I think um, that activity is great for Kavu.
Yeah.
Is he's going to have less physical energy to fuel the emotional response. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah.
But I'm not looking at the physical activity to cure the emotional response.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, no doubt we'll still need to,
So
watch him and tap him and whatever, but
yeah, so it's all these. It's a lot of pieces to the puzzle
put
working
together. Yeah.
together, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's say it's maybe your dog walker is not available that day and he's unable to go exercise, and you have to do the puppy introduction. It's no big deal. You
Well,
just
right.
pick up
Yeah.
how it would, right? Again, you're just
Yeah.
adapting to the situation,
Yeah.
because time ideally would remedy anything that
Comes
that
up.
maybe doesn't go well. Okay,
Sure.
because life's not perfect; it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Um, so if like let's say the first day you do the walking and everything, maybe the puppy is too much puppy and Kavu growls and nips at him and the puppy gets corrected and stuff. It's whatever. We just keep walking.
Yeah.
No, we're redirecting, going to something else. And the reason why I stress the walking is that's how we build bonds between dogs.
Yeah. Okay.
So for humans, we have a number of activities we can do. We can go for dinners, we can go to the movies, we can go for a walk, we can
Yeah.
go shopping. There's countless things that we can do together to build friendships and relationships.
Right.
Dogs, they eat, they would hunt if they could, they travel, they rest, they play, and they sleep, and use the bathroom. Okay,
Yeah.
so play, resting, and walking are the three activities that build bonds.
Okay.
So right off the bat, going into play doesn't always work for every dog.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
that one, resting state. Well, if I have two dogs that are antisocial and try to get them to just lay down together, probably not going to work out either.
Yeah.
But the walking thing, and when we do the walking thing like this, and I ease them into it, and then they get tired, and then we end with a resting state. That's an activity, and that formulates a bond.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
So that's why I do, and Cesar Milan does the same thing with, he does pack walks. That's why we start doing pack walks here. And when we get dogs that have issues, we do pack walks because it helps build that bond and get them like, oh, I can be with other dogs and it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So we're actually thinking about getting a facility puppy here.
No.
So I would do even with a puppy. That puppy's going to be doing little pack walks with my guys, to integrate, get my guys to learn like, oh crap, there's a new puppy now,
Yeah.
And then I would do the exact same stuff that I'm having you guys do.
Right.
Okay?
And then what from the puppy's perspective, because we're talking all so far from Kavu's perspective, is there anything to like watch out from the puppy's perspective that they're getting to, like at what point is it too much for the puppy, or if Kavu's too reactive, or is there anything like we want to watch for that's gonna screw up
Really,
the puppy?
just the physical exercise, really, because are you getting a 2-month-old puppy?
Yeah, well, he'll be like 9 weeks when, yep.
Okay, so he's gonna be really young. Okay, so I
Yeah.
don't expect to go for an hour-long walk.
No, right.
Okay? So that would be really the only thing. If Kavu became reactive and you handled it, and you just keep going, it's like nothing happened.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the way you respond to what happened is how the puppy will view it. Like if you act like it's no big deal.
It's
like
the recovery.
Kind of yeah.
Yeah, it's the recovery.
What?
The problem.
Right.
So let's say we have a dog fight. Most people's response is screaming, separate the dogs, put them away, and then 2 hours later, when things have calmed down, they bring the dogs out, and then it's back to a fight again because the last thing the dog remembers is fight.
Right.
Okay. Whereas I correct them, I stop the fight, and I leave them with each other for another 30 minutes. So they're like, okay, we got in a fight. Jesse stopped it, and then we have to sit next to each other for another 30 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
So puppies, and when you mentioned earlier, recovery and all that stuff is good as well. Because a resilient puppy, a dog can like overcorrect, and the puppy just recovers, no problem.
Yeah.
That's why personality traits like that are beneficial.
Yeah.
And there was I have a client that I'm doing Zooms with. They're like in Denver or something, and their puppy was corrected by the other dog, and they had it on video. And they were like more concerned about the correction. And I was like, actually, I'm like, your puppy recovered great. Took the correction, shook it off, walked away.
Yeah.
Like, awesome. That's because that's a solid puppy,
Okay.
So, and then again, so like let's say it wasn't a great experience the first day, then later on the day we go on another walk, and the next day another walk, and another walk, and eventually you're gonna formulate that bond.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay. More than likely, things are gonna be just fine.
Yeah, I think so, but I like having just a plan, and so this is very helpful, like as far as how to walk with them, and just because I think we just have to be confident about it and stick with the plan and just do it.
Yeah.
And we think it'll be fine, but
when it comes to puppy privileges, I ease them into it.
Sure.
Especially when you have other dogs already within the home. So like if I sat on the couch and my dog sat on the couch and I had like the puppy comes running over, I'd correct the puppy and go, no.
Okay.
Like these are the senior dogs. You have to earn that privilege.
Yeah.
And dogs see this stuff.
Okay.
Because like I know for sure my pit when we get the puppy and stuff is going to be curling her lip and stuff, going like, nope, you ain't coming up here.
Yeah.
You're bottom of the barrel. You got to earn that privilege.
Yeah.
So when you enforce it yourselves for the dogs, like it shows like, okay, cool, there's some structure. So fast forward, 6 months or a year when you decide like, okay, they're integrated enough. Now you've earned the privilege of coming and being on the couch with us. Like it means
Okay.
dogs.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I never thought of it that way, so that's helpful too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think.
all that stuff.
Okay.
Because Kavu's gonna feel some way about it.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't know what it's gonna be. He's gonna feel some way about it, right?
Yeah.
And like, let's say he's fine with the puppy and coexisting and walking around the living room and everything's great, but then when you go to bed and he jumps on the bed to go to sleep with you, and then the puppy's like, "Hey, let me up." He may not be fine with that moment.
All right.
It's a different context.
Yeah.
So that's, and then people ask, "Well, why is the dog fine here but not here?" I'm like, because that's for them like more like intimate, and they're like, "This is our tradition. You just got here."
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna do that anyway, especially when they're so young. We kind of gradually give them privilege anyway, just for their own training, potty training. And I felt like all that went so well with Kavu, so I was planning on the same thing. But it sounds like that'll work with the dog dynamic.
Correct.
Too. Okay. Yep. And then like, what about avoiding resource guarding? I don't think Kavu's horrible about it at all. But I mean, I feel like you just don't really need to allow it to happen. Is that the right approach? Like you don't really need to have toys laying around that they could fight over, or like you don't feed them right next to each other because that's kind of just asking for them to resource guard. Is that the right approach, or can you allow for it and then just correct it as it happens? Like how does that?
So the easiest approach is preventative.
Yeah, okay, that's
so
what
like you mentioned, like let's say, you put Kavu in the room and the puppy eats in its kennel, and once everybody's done, then they're let out.
Yeah.
Which is avoiding the context, right?
Right.
Okay. I do suggest putting away toys and stuff.
Yeah.
And away, because you don't want to be distracted watching TV. So actually, I did a Zoom consult. It was for a Cane Corso, and they just got a pup. It was a Mastiff puppy.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
And the puppy, they got it at 8 weeks, and they thought everything was going great. And then 2 weeks in, the Cane Corso attacked the puppy. Okay, and it was near a resource. So they're thinking it was the resource that triggered everything. But after that initial moment, now the puppy is terrified of dogs. And 2, now when the Cane Corso sees the puppy, it's like ready.
Yeah.
So I told him like, yep, because they things were going well. They got complacent. They had things out. And right.
Okay.
So, and I advised them, I'm like, you have a 150-pound dog and a dog that's going to be 230 pounds. Like, do you really want to like ride this out to see if they're going to fight or not in the future? Yeah. So I persuaded them from like keeping the puppy. I was like, this is a lot of liability.
Yeah.
So it's easiest if you remove everything and then you bring it out, so it's under supervision.
Right.
You're going to have something happen when you're distracted.
And like feeding them separate and stuff. Yeah.
Over the course of time, Kavu may learn how to share with the puppy and stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we notice like Kavu guards like his bed against the puppy and things like that, the way I would approach it is if Kavu is in his bed and I see the puppy approaching Kavu like he's going to harass him and I already know what's going to happen, I would correct the puppy for Kavu.
Yeah, that's Kavu's bed. Yeah, okay.
And before the growling even happens, ideally. Once you recognize the behavior,
yeah,
and you see it about to happen, I correct it. And eventually the puppy goes, all right, when Kavu's in the bed, I respect the space, I leave him alone, and that creates harmony.
Okay, makes sense. And then the other thing though, so this comes from back when Kavu got kicked out of Call of the Wild, and they told us the main reason he's being kicked out is because he continues, what they said is he's resource guarding the staff. So when he's on playtime, he gets really triggered and upset when another dog is interacting with the people that he felt like were his staff. So my question is, I don't know if that's what was happening because we didn't get to witness it. I mean, you talked about we should allow, like, you know, the puppy needs to earn the privilege, and Kavu can be on the couch with us, puppy can't, you know. But is he ever gonna, how do we make sure he's not actually resource guarding us? Or is that a thing even? I don't know.
It is a thing.
Okay.
So the way we prevent that or work around that is structure.
Yeah.
We never saw that here. Okay. And
You did, or wait,
we never saw that.
you didn't? Oh, okay.
No. And he was quiet. Like the first time, like he came here, yeah, he barked and stuff because he'd never been here before, but we corrected him and he ended up being super chill.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. But we're different than Call of the Wild.
Right.
Because there's no consequence and things like that. So once he got the feel for the structure, he's like, all right, I can't get away with these behaviors here.
Yeah.
And maybe ask your dog walker, because if he's running around playing with a pack of dogs, at some point I'm assuming the context of the dogs coming up to him and Kavu being there, if there's any guarding there. Okay.
Yeah. They haven't. I've asked them, and they also, though, they definitely tend to like keep to their own pack. So they go to parks where there's really not other dogs or people around.
Mm.
So it's pretty structured as much as possible that it's like just the walkers and the same dogs.
Right. But the context of, let's say, the solo walker,
right,
and the dog and stuff, like they would be.
Right, and they have not. Yeah, and I could ask them again, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I also think that the personality of these dog walkers is a better fit than the Call of the Wild people were. I mean, it's not like trying to shit on Call of the Wild, but they were too. I think they were like, oh, Kavu, like you're so cute, we love, and they like versus like our walkers are more like calm and just equal to all dogs, and they weren't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
You know, so because the oh my god, I love your dog, bring him back is the human, is for the human, right? But that stimulation is what leads to the dog to feel, one, to get overstimulated, then become reactive, or then they sense it as weak energy and then they possess it.
Yeah.
Okay? So a context that I think, you know, would possibly happen is if Kavu's laying on your lap and the puppy comes up to say, what's going on?
Yeah.
That's normal, okay?
Right.
If that happens, you would correct Kavu, because then you're telling him, you don't possess me. I decide what's going to happen here, whether or not the food's going to come up. And it's either he learns to deal with it because you forced the situation, or two, you can work around it. Because if I know Kavu's the guarder, if I call the puppy in first and then invite Kavu up, I work around the problem.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Because he can only guard you if he's already in your space.
Right. So if I'm interacting with the puppy and then Kavu enters, that's not resource guarding, that's more just him entering. Okay, yeah.
And that's depending on how he enters. So like, puppy, right? We're petting Kavu, come here, because you did it.
Yeah.
But if you're petting puppy and Kavu just interjects and body blocks, that's resource guarding.
Okay.
So then if I'm petting the puppy and then Kavu comes approaching, I'd either remote him to go, nope, you're not going to do that, or correct him using the hand correction or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't invite you.
Right.
Okay? Because that's a low-level form of resource guarding where he's going, no, this ain't going to happen out of my watch. You know, in between.
Okay. So do you think we should have Kavu's e-collar pretty much on a lot when he's with the puppy, like, or exclusive? I mean, because now, like, we don't really use it in the home.
Right.
They don't use it also with our walker. They don't do e-collars, so he just is doing this all just without it. But I feel like that's our way we know, I guess, of how to correct him.
Yeah,
So
it's
probably
easier
need
for
to
you.
rely on it a bit.
So what I would do in the beginning, because now that there's a change, because
Yeah.
the stimulus is outside,
Yeah.
now you're bringing a stimulus inside.
Right.
Is you have it on them the first day, just remember to rotate,
Yeah.
um, and then you remove it when you know the puppy's not going to be in the picture,
Right.
and then put it back when you need it, and then just assess as you go along, like, oh, like he's actually doing better than we anticipated, and you start to leave it off while the puppy's
Eventually.
around.
Okay. Yeah.
um, and then it's I look at the e-collar as on an as needed basis.
Yeah.
So obviously something's changing. So like when I get dogs that I've trained and then the family has a baby, I tell them
Yeah.
expect to have the dog collared up more often in the beginning, because now that there's a baby, you're going to need
Yeah.
control of your dog to like prevent interactions, or
Yeah.
just to get the dog out the way type of stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sure.
so then once that new structure is achieved and you slowly start to wean it off until you're back to like, all right, we don't need
Oh
it
yeah.
anymore. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Makes sense. All right. Cool. Um, I think that's really helpful. Like, I feel like I'm not too worried about how it would go, but this gives us more of a plan. Like, I didn't know about the walking or, yeah, keeping like the puppy earning privileges. So this is all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I wouldn't stress out too much about it.
No,
Again,
yeah, that's my biggest thing. I need to just calm down, but
just adapt to the situation. You have me as a resource.
yeah,
Maddie is great. She's handling my puppy stuff, but I'm more than
yeah,
happy to help with puppy stuff if needed.
yeah,
Um, I think you've made great progress with Kavu. He was great here. You found a good dog walker. You know,
yeah.
um, so I remember when we
Oh,
talked about that previously. Like I was like, sounds like they know what they're doing.
yeah. Also, just as far as socializing the puppy, one
Oh,
other quick question. I feel
yeah.
like a lot of that, say like we want to take the puppy to a park, we want to take the puppy to the beach, just, whatever. We're taking him to new places,
Mhm.
as you do. It's best to do that without Kavu so that Kavu doesn't taint the experience, or is it good to do it with them, or how do you approach that? I
Um,
mean, I feel like Kavu, when we're in public, basically Kavu's gotten to be pretty manageable, but it's still like we can't have people approaching us and like trying to pet Kavu. He still does not allow that.
mm.
And so we pretty much just don't do that.
I
If
mean,
someone asks to pet him, we just say sorry.
right, right,
No.
right. So, I mean, if you took Kavu, so I just go to what would be the answer if we had both dogs, right?
Yeah.
So like we have Kavu and we have the puppy, and someone's like, "Oh, can I pet your Dalmatian?" You go, "No, like he's nervous with people, but you can pet our puppy."
Right.
Like take here, you pet this dog instead, right?
But like if Kavu's in the background getting reactive, is that just kind of ruining it for the puppy, or
This
is
is
the
correct.
puppy not going to care about Kavu's reactivity?
Um, I mean, it's possible that the puppy could also become reactive, but if you're shutting down Kavu,
Right away.
the
Yeah.
energy shouldn't build up, right? So like
Yeah.
if I come to a home, like I have a client right now. They have 7 dogs.
Oh God.
And I was like, who's the biggest problem? They're like, that dog. I'm like, that's going to be our focus, because this is the dog that leads everything.
Sure.
If you shut down the biggest energy, everything else starts to settle.
Okay.
Just like with humans, like if there's a leader of a group, if you take down the leader, unless there's a secondary leader, the group's like, all right, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
they're not confident with that leader.
Okay.
Same for dogs. So if the puppy is starting to pick up off of Kavu, well, then I just correct the puppy like I would correct any other dog, but I also address Kavu, and the puppy goes like, oh, okay, like I guess it's not allowed.
Yeah.
And if you're getting a stable puppy, it
Yeah.
can be a faster turnaround,
Right.
because Kavu has nervousness that fuels his reactivity.
Yeah.
Whereas the other puppy would be like, I'm just tagging along for the ride.
Yeah.
So then once it gets corrected, the puppy's like, all right, not worth my time.
Sure.
So when you get, I think this would be good for you just to learn or to recognize the difference in personality types.
Yeah.
you know, and how they learn and how like you'll be like, oh wow, like that was so much easier with this dog than it was with Kavu. It's because you have a more stable energy.
Yeah.
Okay? But yeah, I would say, you know, I would say if you're gonna go out and you go think to yourself, do we want to deal with Kavu and the puppy today?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, we just want to go for a nice walk, have a nice brunch, and have time with our dog, you take the puppy.
Right.
If it's, you know what, we haven't taken Kavu out for a bit, let's put in some time in exposing, and we take both of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You go with how you feel, because if I tell you yes, always take Kavu with the puppy.
Yeah.
And then one day you're kind of like, man, I'm not feeling it, but Jesse said take Kavu with the puppy.
Oh, right.
You know, it's not going to be a good experience.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kavu's not going to sit there going like, oh man, like they're mean, they left me behind. You know,
right.
Worry about that factor.
No. It's more for like the puppy. I just want the puppy to have their fair shot at being socialized on neutral terms, kind of, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So whatever just go by how you feel.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Good to know. All right.
Anything else?
Do you have anything?
No.
Okay.
That's good.
It's mainly for me.
She had a list of questions, so it's fine.
You're just here.
I'm just listening.
I like lists. So if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Okay. Email, whatever. If you see something that's concerning, feel free to video it.
Yeah. Okay.
Email it to me, and I can review it and say like that's normal. I'm not too worried about it, or keep an eye on it. Make sure that it doesn't become a habit or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think you guys will be I think you'll be all right.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right.
Okay. You're welcome.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
We didn't go through with Maria about billing for this or anything, so I don't know how we do that.
Okay, I'll talk to her. You guys just wanted a single session, right?
Yeah, for now, I think. I mean, I feel like if we feel like we have issues, I will definitely reach out to you because I trust you. So then maybe we'll want to do more sessions via Zoom.
Yeah, so then I'll let her know, and then she'll send you for the singular one.
Yeah.
And then if you have any questions or email stuff, you just shoot me an email. More than happy to get back to you.
All right.
Cool.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.